So, welcome back to the Hairy Vlogger channel, and looking at the title of the video, you're probably wondering, how did I lose my hair at age 28? I'm going to share with you the truth behind my hair loss, what I believe was causing my hair loss, and how I've gone about treating it as well, so the solution. So if you've watched some of my videos before, you'll know that I'm on my own hair loss journey, and I've been fighting to keep hold of my hair. What I'd ideally like to do on the channel is create a space and a community for people to discuss male pattern baldness. It's something that is quite stigmatised and something that men aren't that comfortable to talk about, so that's something that I'd like to encourage people to share their stories in the comments, and we can be a community to help each other talk about our own journeys with our hair loss. So I started losing my hair probably back when I was about 18, and it got progressively worse over time. It's not a nice feeling when you start losing your hair and it starts to thin. You notice the signs to begin with, that you recede at the temples and the top of your hair becomes thinner. Fortunately for me, I didn't thin on the crown. I am starting to thin on the crown now, but it was just at the temples to begin with, and it became so far back that you just can't style your hair in the way that you used to. So that's probably the first time I noticed that my hair was thinning. And at that time, in terms of information that was on the internet, you're not sure what to search really. It's not natural for you to search about taking a pill as the first point of call. Fortunately for me, I actually have a background in biology. I have a biology degree, and I was interested in why my hair was thinning. So I was able to read a bit of the information that was out there on the internet, try and make sense of it. And eventually I came to some of the solutions, which I'll talk about later in the video. One of the things I'd like to do, I mentioned, is create this community where we can talk about male hair loss, give each other advice, because it can feel quite an isolated thing. You can feel like it's only you experiencing it, but it's more common than you think, which we'll talk about in a minute. My personal hair loss story, I kind of noticed it when I was around 18, and it got progressively worse probably from 18 till about 21. I remember seeing some photos of me on my 21st birthday, and my hair was just so thin. It was completely thin on the top. It had receded quite significantly. I'm going to put some photos in up here just so you can see what it used to look like. Obviously since then I've tried to resolve it. I've tried to restore my hair as best as possible. And as I said, it's something you don't want to talk about. Some people are happy to just shave it off, and they're not bothered about keeping the hair, but I think the younger male generation now would like to keep as much of the hair as possible and be able to style it. I don't really feel that women understand it as much, whereas when you speak to other men that have experienced male pattern baldness and they don't want to lose their hair, it's something that can really knock your confidence. In terms of the emotions that you go through when you start to notice that your hair is thinning, it knocks your confidence. You try to style it in different ways to hide that your hair is thinning, and ends up just making it look worse. You don't really feel like you can talk to many people about losing your hair as well. Not that many people, I didn't feel they understood about how much it does hit your confidence and your self-esteem. And it can be confusing about what you can do moving forward. I remember at the time I wasn't sure, whether I should try some of the caffeine shampoos, how effective those were. And the more I read into it, the more I came across things like minoxidil and finasteride, which ultimately, those are the main things that you want to take to try and prevent losing your hair. Let's talk about some of the causes of hair loss. First thing to mention is you're not alone. Around 6.5 million men and 8 million women in the UK experience hair loss. And then by about age 50, 85% of men will have experienced male pattern baldness. So it is something that's common. It's not something that you're suffering alone. And it's really three things that can lead to your hair loss. The main one is going to be your genetics. Just like you inherit genes from your parents for height, or sporting ability, or lots of different things, hair colour, eye colour. You can also inherit genes that make you predetermined to lose your hair and it might be that your dad has those genes, or someone in your family tree has those genes and they've been passed down to you, and that means are more likely to lose your hair. And that leads us on to point number 2, which is hormonal changes. So what causes hair loss? I'm going to put a little diagram here, but you can see that testosterone, which is the male hormone that's released during puberty, it's released from the testes. That testosterone can be converted into something called DHT, dihydrotestosterone, and that's facilitated by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase. So when it gets converted into DHT, the DHT basically binds to the hair follicles and it causes them to shrink, and it causes them to go into a state of inactivity. It's a bit more complicated than that, but that's the way to think about it. Rather than the hair follicle being nice and strong and mature, it becomes small. It becomes what's called a vellus hair, which is thin, weak, not as strong, kind of like a baby hair. It goes back to being like a baby hair, and that's not what we want. We don't want your hair on the top of your head to go back to that state, but that's what DHT does. Lifestyle factors do also play a role, so things like stress, your diet, other lifestyle factors, things like smoking, that's not good for your hair quality. But in terms of what most of us will be suffering with, it'll be our genetics. We've inherited genes. That means we produce lots of this DHT, which binds to our hair follicles, and it causes that standard pattern of balding, which is receding on the temples and also the crown. And you can alter your lifestyle changes. You can have a diet rich in nutrients, etc. Use really good shampoos, and that's going to play some role in making your hair look healthier, but it's not going to prevent that DHT being produced. Some of the things that I've tried to address hair loss, the first thing I actually tried was minoxidil, which you can get, it's called Regain. You can get it from Boots Pharmacy, you can get it in lots of different places, Amazon. And what minoxidil does, it's also called Regain, is it increases the blood flow to the scalp area. So if your hairs have got more blood flow, they've got more nutrients, they're more likely to be in that strong growth period. Something else I've tried is finasteride. Finasteride is going to be the main thing that you're going to want to use to try and prevent more native hair loss. And what it does is it blocks the conversion of testosterone to DHT. So if you've got less DHT in your system, you can't bind to those hair follicles and it can't cause them to miniaturize and shrink. It's effective. There are some listed side effects. If you want me to make a video on that, then let me know and I can talk about some of them common side effects and any side effects that I've experienced. But that's one of the main treatments for hair loss, finasteride, a pill that you'll take daily, and it will prevent the conversion into DHT and therefore prevent any further hair loss. And it's important you start it early on, because the earlier on that you start taking finasteride, the more of your native hair that you'll retain. If you start it much later on, it'll be, just managing the hair loss that you've got currently rather than trying to regrow back the hair that you used to have. But Regain can make some of those smaller hairs come back much fuller and thicker. And the other thing that I've had, if you go back through my videos, and please do watch the older videos, you'll see that I had a hair transplant as well in Turkey, which was one of the best things that I'd ever done, having that hair transplant. And that's more about hair restoration. So it's not preventing the hair loss that you've got, it's moving the hair from the back of your head to other places in your head, because the hair that's around the back of your head and the side, if you look at an old man that's lost his hair, you'll see that they keep the band around the back and the sides, and that's because that hair is resistant to DHT. So if we move that hair, we transplant the whole follicle to other places on the head, that hair should be resistant to the DHT. So that's something else that I have had done, and that's helped massively. It's not the final solution though, because you can still lose the rest of your hair. So even if you've had a hair transplant, the transplanted hair is good, but the rest of the hair might not stay around. So you've still got to keep on top of, your prevention of hair loss to keep the best density that you can achieve. So last thing I want to talk about is just solutions moving forward. I've mentioned the preventative medication. You want to keep taking that. If you do go for a hair transplant, the first thing the doctor will ask is, are you taking any hair loss prevention? Because they know that if you aren't taking that and you have a hair transplant with them, chances are you'll continue to lose your hair. So you want to think about looking into finasteride and minoxidil. They're not cheap options, but that's part of the solution. Think about lifestyle changes, so any habit changes that you can make. Do more exercise, that's going to increase the blood flow around the body generally. It's good for your heart health as well, and that can only be good. Supplements, things like biotin, multivitamins, fish oils, collagen. These are all really good supplements for your hair as well. I've tried biotin in the past. I still take it every now and then. Tend to just have a multivitamin now and fish oils. So think about supplementation perhaps, and trying to eat a diet that's, rich in nutrients rather than being devoid of nutrients, which is obviously not good for your hair. It's not good for your body either. Some hair care tips. So something I did want to mention is using shampoos, good organic shampoos that contain natural DHT blockers. So one that I wanted to show you is Waterman's hair shampoo. So this is one that I use personally. I buy it in a big bottle, same with the conditioner. And you can see it says on the bottle, encourages hair growth, strengthens hair follicles, contains natural DHT blockers, improves scalp circulation, increases hair density, added body and shine. In terms of how much this actually works for growing back hair, debatable. It's hard to know, isn't it? I can't go back in time and remove it out of my hair care routine and see what my hair would look like. I really like the product. I don't have to use that much of it when I'm in the shower. I think my hair does look better having used it. It definitely feels nicer as well after using the conditioner. So it's just something to add into the routine if your finances aren't constrained. So that's something to have a look at. I am going to try and put some sort of affiliate link in my bio because I know they offer that. So if you want to help out me and help out the channel and you want to get yourself some of that shampoo and try it for yourself, please do. Look at the reviews. They're really good. I'm not paid by them, but I use their products anyway, so I may as well put an affiliate link in there, and if you guys want to help me out, then please do. The last thing is I would like to call for your engagement. I would like you guys to be part of this hair loss channel. Let's break the stigma talking about male hair loss. Be part of the community. Comment down below, when did you start to notice your hair loss and how did that make you feel? Was it someone that mentioned it to you? Was it something you spotted in the mirror? How did it make you feel? Put it in the comments down below and we can share our stories with each other, because we're not alone in this, and the more we talk about it, the easier it is. Please do subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell as well for any more updates that I come out with in the future. I would like to make some more videos generally around hair loss, and if you've got any ideas for the channel, then please do let me know. I'm probably going to do one about my hair transplant process because I didn't really go through that in detail, so that's something I'm going to do. So be part of the community in the fight at preventing hair loss.